Vasilev from Forbes, Bulgaria, and I'm here with Linda Lee, the head of UX at Tor project. Is this your first time in Bulgaria?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Oh, perfect. Tell us, how did you got involved in the fight against surveillance?
So I actually wanted to work on Tor project because I found it really hard to use, and I was a security student at Berkeley, and it just seemed so cool to me, and I initially just wanted to use it to see what it was about. Only later did I find out all the things that Tor was doing to help people around the world. So it's not the best answer, but I thought it was cool.
And how do you decide that you should be working with them instead of just using the browser?
I think that I had particular insight into user testing and user studies that I thought would be very useful to Tor. And since Tor doesn't collect any of your information while you're using the product like other companies do, we don't necessarily do any A/B testing. So it's much more important to be involved in the community, reach out to your volunteers, and do in-person studies, which really appealed to me.
Was Tor your first job after graduating from the university?
Yes, it was.
And did you start as UX head there?
I did. I started as the head of UX right away.
So what were your most recent fights for against surveillance from all government regulatory agencies and things like that?
So that I think that we don't necessarily particularly fight against any specific government, but when you use Tor, it initially started as an anonymity tool, and it prevented you from being surveilled just because all the connections were encrypted. And I think that it also happened to circumvent censorship as well. And when other countries started to censor their users and start to be more proactive in tracking them, then more and more people started to use it for other things than anonymity purposes. They just wanted to not be surveilled but not necessarily be anonymous. Or they just wanted to get to a certain site but it was blocked. And we're working on technologies right now that not only hide you from the other users of Tor and keep you anonymous, but also allow you to connect to Tor even when Tor is blocked through indirect methods, hide the fact and make your traffic look like random noise. And we're always looking for other ways to make that more stable and reliable.
So what are your, well, not tasks, but in what ways are you going to make Tor more user-friendly of kind of a platform and browser?
So one thing that we're doing recently is to change the interface for how you connect to Tor. So when people first download Tor, they have to bootstrap their connection by choosing how they connect to Tor. And it's a pretty technical process. They have to choose if they're going to connect directly to a Tor relay, if they're going to connect indirectly through what we call a bridge, which is an unlisted relay, and that is necessary if you need censorship, and what kind of protocol you're going to use on top of that. And now that's not something that normal users know, and we're trying to make it clear what options work in different countries, what type of connection you need for what purpose you're using it. So if you're using it for anonymity, you don't need any of that. If you want to circumvent censorship, you need some of that. If you're a journalist and you really want to be safe, you might need all of that. And we're just making the dialogue easier to use and explain why the choices are there instead of just showing all of the technical options.
What about one of the most notable critiques against the browser that, okay, it circumvents censorship, but it can also be used for sort of illegal activities and things like that?
Mm-hmm. I think that that's an issue that we all struggle with, and I feel really bad that Tor's being used for bad purposes, and we certainly don't encourage any illegal activity. I think that it's important to note that Tor just provides anonymity and the people are using it for bad purposes. But we think that Tor is important to exist despite illegal activities, just because, at least in the US, if you want to stay anonymous and you're the average user, Tor is the easiest way to do that. If you were a criminal, you can go back to stealing other people's identities. It's a lot harder, but that's what they used to do in the past. And if you are a government agent, you can just choose to not surveil yourself or to make an identity. So if you take away Tor, the bad actors and corrupt governments can still be anonymous and still do the things that they do, and the regular people will have a hardest time staying anonymous. But we do recognize that the existence of Tor does make bad things a little bit easier for some people, but we think that that's a very small use case. And I think you heard of the dark web, right? Onion sites are just a way that you can publish things anonymously instead of browsing things anonymously. And the most popular website in the dark web is actually Facebook. And yeah, people want to get to Facebook securely. They don't want Facebook to know that, you know, what they're doing on there and stuff like that. So, yeah.
As far as I know, Tor Messenger recently got an update. Do you plan on putting some other apps like this instead of the browser and the messenger?
I think that we definitely want to start putting more apps on the Tor network, and even apps that aren't developed by Tor project, like SecurityDrop and other chat platforms, we encourage them to route their traffic over Tor network. At the moment, we're focusing on our browser and to get good mobile versions of the browser out, which we don't quite have yet. And we really want to support the applications that we do have very well, and we're a little bit understaffed on that. So for the moment, we're focusing on the browser and the messenger. But we do partner with people who want to write other apps, and we find it really cool.
I see. How do you attract other developers to write apps for the Tor?
I think that one way we do this is that we try to get the word out there. We try to network. We try to show up at developer conferences, because when people think of Tor, they usually think of just the browser, right? But Tor does two things, and one is to provide an internet overlay network that people can use, and if you're an app developer, you can just use an API and program it so that your app can route its traffic over Tor. And I don't think that many people even know that you can do that. So I think the first step is to tell people that this is possible, and the second step would be to communicate with them and help them. We are an open source project. We have public IRC channels. People are welcome to join anytime they want, and we frequently talk with developers who want to route their application traffic over Tor. Unfortunately, right now, I think it's a lot of the developers coming to us and us not going to them so much, but we'd like to change that too.
Awesome. Your topic for today will be how can customers help Tor? How can they do that?
I think that there are three ways that you can help. I think the first way is just to use Tor. If you use Tor, you are adding one more number to the set of users that use Tor. So hiding in 10,000 people versus hiding between 2.5 million people, which is the average amount of users that use it per day, it provides you with more security. So just using Tor in itself would help other people that are using Tor. Other ways to help is to donate, because we don't take any money from any specific corporations and we're for a nonprofit, which I think is important, because if we started having specific interests aligned, that'd be dangerous. And the third way is to contribute some code, because we're an open source project. We're always looking to collaborate. All of our code is open to the public, and we have a lot of tickets and a lot of issues.
Okay, awesome. I wish you all the best, and that was it for the interview.